Scott Morrison was sworn in as Australia's new Prime Minister after Malcolm Turnbull was forced out by party rivals in a bruising leadership contest. Australia's ousted leader Turnbull was under pressure due to poor polling results, what he described as an insurgency by Conservative lawmakers. Turnbull is the fourth Australian PM in a decade to be ousted by his own party members. Turnbull's Liberal Party was defeated in the recent by-elections. US President Donald Trump has cancelled Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's visit to North Korea, citing the lack of sufficient progress on the denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. The US President indicated that he held China responsible for the stalemate. Trump said that China was not helping with the denuclearization program as it once used to because of the trade dispute with the US. The Secretary of State was supposed to visit North Korea next week. Trump may have called off US Secretary of State Mike Pompeo's trip to North Korea, but the US President said that Pompeo was looking forward to visiting the country in the future. The US President said that he has sent his warmest regards to North Korean leader Kim Jong-un and is hoping to meet him soon. Trump also said that Pompeo would visit North Korea once the US-China relations improve. US Senator John McCain's family has announced that the Republican leader would discontinue cancer treatment. The 81-year-old Vietnam War hero was diagnosed with brain cancer last year. Wishes for the veteran leader poured in from across the party lines. Notably, McCain contested against former United States President Barack Obama in the 2008 presidential elections. Hurricane Lane has triggered torrential rains and landslides in the U.S. state of Hawaii. The hurricane was downgraded from a Category 3 storm to a Category 1 storm. Despite the hurricane losing its intensity, an emergency proclamation was issued in Hawaii while schools and government offices were ordered to remain shut. Meanwhile, authorities have ordered evacuation in the state's coastal areas as Hurricane Lane is expected to leave a trail of damages along the coast. Hurricane Lane is not the natural calamity wreaking havoc across Hawaii. A fast-growing wildfire forced the evacuation of hundreds of people in the southern region of the U.S. state. One woman was left injured as a result of the blaze. The immediate cause of the fire is yet to be known. The preparations for Pope Francis' Ireland visit are on at full swing in the Irish capital of Dublin. The Pope's visit to the deeply Catholic country comes months after Ireland voted to legalize abortion. Nearly 40,000 people are expected to attend Pope Francis' address in Dublin. Pope Francis, who will be arriving in Ireland today, will bless the relics of Holy Drinker, an Irish who is also the patron of people who are struggling with alcoholism. Matt Talbot, who died in the year 1925, had a drinking problem. He vowed to stop drinking at the age of 28 after being sermoned by a priest. Talbot is now on his way to sainthood in the Roman Catholic Church. The victims of clergy sexual abuse in Ireland have urged Pope Francis to take strong action to tackle the rising number of abuse scandals that have rocked the Roman Catholic Church. The pontiff is visiting the European nation at a time when the Church is facing a major credibility crisis, owing to recent clergy abuse cases in countries across the world, including the United States, Chile, and Australia. Photos of clerical sex abuse victims were projected onto a symbolic landmark in the Irish capital of Dublin on the eve of highly charged visit by Pope Francis. The images of the Irish victims were accompanied with the words justice, love, and truth. The pontiff is on his first papal visit to Ireland in nearly 40 years. The Spanish government has passed a decree to smooth the way for relocation of the remains of former dictator Francisco Franco with the aim of turning his mausoleum into a memorial for the Spanish Civil War victims. The mausoleum, called the Valley of the Fallen, is located on a mountainside in the Spanish capital of Madrid. Franco ruled Spain with an iron fist from 1939 to 1975. The fascist leader got tens of thousands of people killed and imprisoned in a campaign to wipe out dissent. Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, who is on a 4-day visit to Lithuania, paid his tribute to the Jewish victims of the Holocaust in the Baltic nation. Over 70,000 Jews were killed in Lithuania between 1941 and 1944. Notably, Netanyahu has Lithuanian roots, as his grandmother hailed from the country. The Israeli Prime Minister's visit is seen as an attempt to bolster ties with Baltic nations and Europe in general. Argentine federal police and investigators searched a third home belonging to former President Cristina Fernandez as part of a high-profile corruption case. Fernandez is accused of taking bribes from construction companies in return for government contracts. The scandal is likely to impact next year's presidential elections, in which leftist Fernandez may try to unseat Argentina's current president, whose popularity took a hit as the economy slipped into recession. Zimbabwe's constitutional court confirmed President Emerson Mnangagwa's disputed July 30th election victory, dismissing an opposition challenge that had held up his inauguration. In a unanimous ruling, the 9 judges of the country's top court, Chief Justice Luke Malaba said that opposition leader Nelson Chamisa had failed to prove allegations of fraud during the presidential vote. The election, in which Mnangagwa and Chamisa were at the main contenders, was touted as a crucial step towards Zimbabwe's economic recovery, but instead left the nation deeply polarized. At least 4 people were killed and 20 others injured when a bus collided with 5 cars and plunged off a bridge onto railway tracks. The charter bus, ferrying a group of pensioners, landed on its side below a bridge in central Finnish town. The driver, who survived the accident, told the police that brake failure caused him to lose control of the vehicle. Ukrainian President Petro Poroshenko praised the U.S. sanctions imposed on Russia. Speaking at the bilateral meeting with the U.S. National Security Advisor John Bolton, Poroshenko said that Russia will be stopped by the strong opposition of civilized world and the United States. Washington has imposed economic sanctions against Moscow over its alleged meddling in the 2016 U.S. presidential elections. An unprecedented 400% raise in transport fares has sparked frustration among commuters in the Venezuelan capital of Caracas. Long lines of visitors swarmed around bus stops in Caracas, while commuters and drivers remain confused over the new banknotes that the Nicolas Maduro-led government issued earlier this week. An elderly Iraqi woman has taken upon herself to nurture her 22 grandchildren after the Islamic State killed her sons. The woman, who is dependent on donations, has been looking for a job as domestic servant to make ends meet. Several survivors of the ISIS attacks have been demanding aid from the government, but to no avail. Haitians took to the street to call for an investigation into the alleged misuse of Venezuela-sponsored petro funds by the Caribbean nation's previous administrations. After a social media campaign brought attention to the issue, hundreds of Haitians gathered in front of the Superior Court of Accounts demanding clarification on the petro funds. Haiti has a long tradition of corruption and international partners, and watchdogs have often blamed Haitian politicians for failing to crack down on graft. A military parade was held in the Ukrainian capital of Kiev to celebrate the 27th Independence Day of the country. Ukraine became a sovereign state after the dissolution of the Soviet Union in the year 1991. The parade demonstrated more than 200 new models of military hardware. Notably, the Ukrainian army included the contingent of female soldiers in the parade for the first time since its inception. The European nation's show of strength was displayed at a time when the country is embroiled in a conflict with Russia. A Saudi-led coalition airstrike has killed 30 people, including 22 children, in a Houthi rebel-led area in northwestern Yemen. 4 families were hit by an airstrike while they were fleeing the embattled area. This is not the first time that the Saudi-led coalition attacked children. Earlier this month, over 40 children were killed when an airstrike targeted a bus. Desperate times call for desperate measures, and many of the 150 migrants stranded aboard a Coast Guard ship for over 9 days have begun a hunger strike out of frustration that Italy won't let them disembark unless fellow European Union nations first pledge to take them. Meanwhile, Italy's hardline Interior Minister Matteo Salvini shrugged off the development, tweeting that the migrants can do what they believe in Italy. Italy has demanded other Mediterranean countries to house migrants who are stranded at sea. Devotees in the southern Indian state of Karnataka thronged to temples across to offer prayers to the goddess of wealth on the occasion festival of Vara Mahalakshmi. The Vara Lakshmi Day is considered auspicious and holds great significance in the southern Indian state of Andhra Pradesh, Telangana, Karnataka and Tamil Nadu. Devotees observe a fast on the day and offer prayers to goddess for the well-being of their families. Victims of the floods in the southern state of Kerala in India were shifted from one of the camps to a migrant workers' hostel called Apna Ghar due to space crunch. Over 1,000 flood victims were moved to a migrant hostel in Palakkad city. Each family was allotted one room. The victims were provided with necessary items like packed foods and clothes. Over 400 people have been killed in the second worst floods to hit the coastal state in a century. The President of Congress, Rahul Gandhi, says that the 2019 general elections will be very straightforward. Speaking at the London School of Economics, Gandhi said that the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party would face a united opposition in the crucial polls. Pet goldfish living in cramped tanks around France are getting a second lease in life in a sanctuary set up by the Paris Aquarium. In the past 2 years, Paris Aquarium's goldfish program has rescued over 600 fish from ending up in the sewer system. The aquarium set up its sanctuary in the hope of raising awareness of animal welfare and to provide an alternative way to dispose of pet goldfish. A zoo in the French capital presented 2 baby jaguars to the public. The new members of the zoo were moved to an outside enclosure so that spectators could see them. The 2 baby female jaguars called Lenka and Aloha were born in July.